Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of I Got Nothing, a podcast for exhausted writers. Today, I have a guest with me, a fellow exhausted writer. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Allie Kelly. I am a young adult fantasy author. I live in Connecticut with my orange cat, Merlin. I have been writing since I was little, probably like 8 years old, so like way back in the 90s. And my book is called Thorns Among Shadows. It released in November of 2024. It's a young adult fantasy Rapunzel retelling where the girl rescues the prince from the tower.
Love that. Oh, I love that reversal.
Yeah, it was very fun to write.
I actually am from Connecticut as well. So shout out to
really?
Connecticut. Yeah, I was raised in Windsor, Connecticut.
Oh, you're not that far from me. I'm in Colchester.
Oh,
wow. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. So you said you've been writing since you were very young? Me too.
Yep.
Did you
Awesome.
always know, like back then, that, yeah, I'm going to be a writer? Or was it something that kind of bloomed over time?
Okay, so I remember being like, I want to say I was like 8 or 9 years old. And you know the movie Hocus Pocus?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that movie, I was like obsessed with it. And I remember I was playing a game with a girl who lived down the street from me. She was like a few years younger than me. And we used to play this game where like we were two sisters named Samantha and Alex. And I was Samantha, and I think I gave myself that name because of my American Girl doll. And we were just being chased by the Sanderson sisters. And I remember like we used to have like the old early Apple computers.
Oh, yeah.
We had one in the basement. It was the basement, but we called it the family room because it was furnished. And I would sit at that computer and just write for hours. And I wrote like my first like quote like script because I don't know, like I remember being like, oh, I'm gonna write something based on this story. So like it's like always been like a part of me. I don't remember like making the decision to want to be an author really. So I wrote that, and then when I was in 5th grade, I got introduced to Star Wars, and that was like when the obsession began.
It was just all over by then.
Pretty much, yeah. And I remember being convinced that I was gonna like be the next George Lucas, and I was gonna like write the scripts and star in and direct my own Star Wars movies. And this is like back before the prequels were even like a possibility. This is specifically like
old school Star Wars, original.
Yeah, we had the original trilogy, and we had the expanded universe, which is now called Legends, which don't get me started on that. And yeah, like there was no possibility of any more movies at that point. So I was convinced that I was gonna write these movies. So I took some liberties. Like I was basically writing like crossover fan fiction, like
nice.
without knowing what fan fiction was. So I was taking like Dani from Hocus Pocus, and I made her into a Jedi princess.
Awesome.
Don't ask me how I thought this would work. So she was a Jedi. like my imagination was like insane. So she was a Jedi princess, and she was Luke and Leia's cousin.
Of course.
Which again,
naturally.
And so I don't know. I wrote these like scripts and also these stories where like she was a Jedi princess and she was having to train to be a Jedi, and she was constantly being captured by the Sanderson sisters, or like just villains from like different movies and TV shows that I had grown up watching. So like there was one that I wrote with like Animorphs, like the book series Animorphs,
yes.
like just totally. And I would take like
that's the most like 90s story I have ever heard.
Right? Like, oh my god. So when I was like, I want to say I was like 10 or 11 years old, my parents had gotten me this program called Storybook Weaver Deluxe, and it was kind of like a combination of sort of Photoshop, but also kind of like a Microsoft Word thing. Like you could draw pictures, and I think it had like pictures that you could insert onto the page. And then, so I wrote my first, I'm saying it's 400 pages, but it only let you have 100 pages per file. Because then we're talking like really old school.
Oh yeah.
So I had to make like a new file each time to continue writing the book.
Oh
So
man, old technology.
it was yeah, right. So it was like a 400 page novel, which I don't even know how many words that really was because it didn't have like I feel like the text was kind of big, so like I don't think it fit very much onto the page. Like, and yeah, so I think I wrote that probably between the ages of like 10 and maybe 14. And I feel like that's around the time where I was like, yeah, I want to be an author. Like, and it's just always been with me.
It is amazing for as much crap as it gets. It is amazing how important fan fiction is in the author process. Because most authors start off writing fan fiction even if they don't know that's what it's called.
Right.
And that's so funny. And when you were talking about that program, it just like a memory unlocked for me about it was a computer game called Opening Night. And it essentially was you could put on your own plays, you can write them, and have actors act them out.
I totally had that program.
Yes, okay. That wasn't a fever dream. It was real. Okay.
No. There was that, and then there's also an American Girl one too that I had.
Wow, that just a bunch of stuff just unlocked in my brain. As someone who writes scripts now, I was like, wow, yeah, no, that was always there.
We had the best software growing up. Like
we did because there was no like formula. It was just like throw stuff at the wall and see what stuck. So you got some really crazy games and programs.
Oh my god. I don't remember as many of the games I used to play anymore, but there was like the logical journey of the Zoombinis. I loved that game.
God, so my brain is just like, wow, yeah, I see the games, but I don't remember what they were called.
Yeah. The older I get, the harder it is to really remember.
Yeah.
But there was also like on that computer that I told you about, there was a program that my parents had also gotten me like before I had the Storybook Weaver Deluxe. There was a program called the Amazing Writing Machine, and that thing like you could like click the page and it would make a sound like turning the page, and it would make the typewriter noises, and I loved it.
That sounds lovely.
And I always wanted a typewriter, but I never got one.
Yeah, I think our first quote computer was just a word processor. Like, and I don't even know why we had it because my mom and stepdad were not computer savvy. I think my dad got it for us. But I remember sitting at that thing for hours, and I had a book that we went to see The Wizard of Oz on Ice once. And we got this book, which was like an adaptation of that. And literally how I learned to type was looking at that book and retyping it into that word processor.
Oh my god, that's awesome. I also saw Wizard of Oz on Ice. Wizard of Oz is my favorite movie.
So. Wow. Just so many connections right out the gate.
So that was also I remember writing a story in Oz. Like,
nice.
Oh my god. Like the stories I wrote, like they were like insane. Like, oh my god.
Yeah. Well, because you don't really know what constitutes a story, you don't know the like logistics behind it. You're just like, I have these visions in my head, I need to get on a page.
right like I didn't know about character development or plot development or like the 3-act structure or any of that stuff. Like,
no, I still pretty much ignore a lot of those things in the first draft, and then I'm like, okay, now I gotta make this into something cohesive.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's so interesting because it seems like fantasy was like a really big thing for you and for me as well. Like, there's something about fantasy, and I wrote fantasy a lot when I was younger and growing up, and fan fiction, it was all fantasy. But when I made my writing debut, it was a completely different genre. But you made your debut in fantasy. You stuck with it. So what was that like, completing your first fantasy novel?
Well, okay, so Thorns Among Shadows. Thorns Among Shadows is not technically my first fantasy novel. Like there is a project that God, when did I start writing it? 2000, I want to say like 2017 or 2018. I started writing this project, and it was another fantasy book, and I wrote so many drafts of this thing, and I couldn't get the plot right. Like I tried, I don't know, I struggled so hard with it. So now it's like it's been shelved because I think I need to just like really rework it.
Yeah.
But I feel like I want to say for I think it was NaNoWriMo. I was trying to think of an idea to write for Nano, and I was talking with people in my Discord server, and one of them suggested, you know, taking a fairy tale and like turning it on its head. I was like, oh, okay. So then we started talking about Rapunzel, and then I didn't start writing it like right away. I think I waited until after NaNoWriMo to like start outlining it. But then like once I wrote that draft, like I started to write it in first person, and then I realized that I'm not good at first person. I am much better at third person.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, like first person is hard. Like
Yeah, I have to do that for ghostwriting, and switching back to third person is a challenge. Like
yeah,
bouncing between the two.
yeah. So once I wrote that draft, I was like, okay, like I was happy, and then I started getting people to alpha read it, and they were like, yeah, like you could actually do something with this, and I'm like, what? Like, so, like and like at that point, like it wasn't the first time I was published, because so my Discord server has its own nonprofit publishing company called Worldsmith Publishing, and we started that as like an anniversary thing, because at that point in 2021 it was 5 years since I started Worldsmith, and we were like, oh, like let's do a collective anthology of stories that we all write together. So then it became this thing where it was like it made a little more sense to like actually go for it and do the publishing company thing and start a nonprofit. And so it wasn't my first time being published, but this was like my first like actual book, like on my own,
Yeah.
that I put my blood and sweat into. So
Yeah.
that was very surreal. And like, so something that I don't talk about a whole lot is like I did not start talking until I was 3 years old. And
Oh.
my parents were told I might not ever be able to speak. Like they were told by a specialist in Boston to start learning sign language.
Hmm.
So for me to go from being that little kid who had to learn sign language and had to go to speech therapy, and they weren't sure where I was going to be in school, to a full-fledged author. Like
Yeah,
that's
that's
that's insane.
awesome. That is
Yeah,
crazy. But like in the
yeah.
best
So
way.
yes,
And
yes,
I mean that just speaks to how much hard work you've put into it.
yeah.
Because, my son is on the spectrum, and he was talking pretty regularly, but he did have that period of time where he just lost his speech. And we had to just kind of teach him things. And he talks now, but he still has trouble communicating.
Hmm.
So it's so wild, the 90s, of being like, she's not going to speak. Because I feel
Right,
like nowadays they would have like more options.
right. And they probably would have had like a different diagnosis for me, or like
Yeah. Yeah.
like. But yeah, if it weren't for like the speech therapist and my parents and my first grade teacher especially, like she's the one who really helped me as far as reading goes, and writing, because she created this program called Cast a Spell, where you close your eyes and you like dip your finger into paint, or like imaginary paint, and you use your visual memory, and you write out the word in your visual memory, and then you write it on a chalkboard. And I was spelling words that like Emancipation Proclamation in first grade. Like,
Yeah.
so if it weren't for her, I might not be as strong at writing and reading as I am.
Yeah, clearly the words were there. It was just a matter of getting them out. And I feel like writing is one of the best ways to do that. At least for
Yes.
me. I struggle with anxiety and I'm doing very well now, but there was a period of time where I developed a stutter because of the
Hmm.
anxiety and a hand tremor. So
Oh wow.
writing was not something I could do because I could barely type without misspelling like literally every single word. And thankfully, I went to therapy and worked on it, and I don't have those issues anymore. But words are so powerful, and not everybody can express them verbally. And I feel like
Right.
writing is just one of the best ways to get your feelings out and get them on paper.
Yeah, I agree. Anything creative like drawing, painting, writing, like anything like that. Like yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So you've done a lot. You've got your book. You said you did some short stories with your anthologies and with your publishing company. When you're writing or when you're getting ready to write, are there any little writing rituals that you do to kind of get yourself in the headspace? Or is it just like, I have 5 minutes? Let me write now.
So I just finished writing a draft of my current project, and like last Wednesday I finished writing it, and I feel like during that process I definitely had like a little ritual. Like I would come home from work and I would watch a movie, and then I would eat dinner and maybe take a shower if I needed one, and then I would get ready to start writing, and I would like turn have the TV on as background noise. So I guess that's really my ritual, is like making sure I have the TV on and having some good snacks nearby.
I totally understand the TV thing. Sometimes I have to have background noise. I work full time as a writer, but when I first started doing that, I had to homeschool my son. So
Hmm.
I could only write during this 3 hour period where he was in his ABA therapy. So, and there was usually a person sharing the space with me who was waiting for her son. So I had to have like headphones to
Hmm.
kind of block out this other person and have that like background noise of like a comfort TV show or like a playlist. And I think it really just, I love the correspondence between sound and writing.
Yeah, like so my writing friends think I'm a little weird for being able to have the TV on but not being able for, and for not being able to listen to actual music. But like if
Yeah.
like my kind of music, like I typically listen to soundtrack music.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and especially if it's like Disney or Broadway, like it's gonna distract me and make me just want to sing and like not focus.
Yeah,
Even
that's
though
fair. Yeah.
even though I can't sing, but like like it just distracts me. So I have an Alexa in my room, and I can turn that on and turn the radio on. Like that, I'm able to block out. But if it's like my kind of music, I can't
You just start
concentrate.
grooving to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I definitely get that. It's funny because where we live, not much soundproofing, so we used to have really noisy neighbors. So again, I had to have some kind of noise to work. But recently we got new neighbors who are pretty quiet. So my writing ritual has actually changed. And now for certain things, I actually need quiet. And I'm not used to that. And I don't like not having my comfort show in the background.
Yeah, I don't think I could write in complete silence. I need something. And like I usually watch there's I have like the quote like free cable. Like if you have internet like on my Samsung TV, and
Yeah.
there's a channel that plays Charmed episodes, and there's another channel that plays Dawson's Creek. So between the two of those, like I just have those on in the background. And I've seen those episodes so many times at this point. Like I could probably act
Yeah.
them out in my sleep. So so it's easier for me to not be as distracted. Like sometimes I'll stop writing and watch the episode, but I find that having a commercial also helps, because usually like I'll watch the episode, and then when the commercial comes on, I just like I start writing. Then once it comes back on, like I might still be writing, but somewhat pay attention to the episode.
Yeah, that's actually called writing sprints, and that's a legit way to write.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that. I do something similar with my alarm. If I'm finding it hard to like focus for like a long stretch of time, I'll set an alarm for 15 minutes. And then when that's done, I'll set an alarm for 10 minutes, and then I can just like do whatever I want during that 10 minutes. And then when it goes off, I go to writing for 15 minutes again until I hit my word count. So, yeah, sometimes it just works to break it up that way. This is why I'm not that much a hater on commercials.
Right. Like, I mean, I grew up with commercials. Like,
Yeah.
they don't bother me. Like my niece and nephew, like they're 9 and 8 years old, and they'll fast forward through stuff, and I'm like, what are you doing, kid? Like, why are you fast forwarding?
It's like, no, the commercials are the best part sometimes.
Yeah.
So when you're writing and when you have an idea, I know you said for the last one you kind of started after Nano, but when you have this idea that sort of takes hold, how do you develop it further? Do you sit with it for a while? Do you brainstorm?
So it kind of depends. So like, I definitely have to brainstorm. And I usually do that in my Discord server with my fellow worldsmiths people, and they'll like go back and forth and ask me questions. And one of the, I actually drive one of them kind of nuts because she listened to, oh my god, what's it called? There's a podcast that Brandon Sanderson and some other authors I think did, and she listened to that podcast. So she's, and like between that and like she's read like a lot of like articles and books on like the three act structure and stuff. So she thinks that my method of approaching a story is a little weird because like she's more structured. Like she'll have an Excel sheet with like the three act structure in it with like the midpoint and like all that other stuff. But I cannot seem to force myself to take my ideas and force them into those boxes.
I can't either.
Like it,
I
like,
can't do that.
and I think that just goes back to the fact that I've been writing since I was little. So like, and like I said, like I didn't grow up with the three act structure or learning about. I mean, like I guess I learned about things like character development in school, but like I didn't necessarily learn how to apply those things to my own stories.
Yeah, no, they didn't. I mean, I had a creative writing class, and I'm sure it touched on that, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, like I mean, I took a creative writing class in high school, but that was mostly based on short stories, and
Yeah.
I wasn't writing short stories back then. Like I actually don't like writing short stories because anytime I try, it always on the first try like it feels more like an excerpt from a novel instead of an actual complete story. And then like it's just, like I enjoyed writing the short stories for the anthologies that I wrote stories for, but I am definitely more of a longer project
Yeah, more like long
writer.
form kind
Yeah.
of writing. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Same.
So
Yeah.
so she'll ask me questions and I'm like, I don't know. And it drives her nuts because like it's questions that like I should know, but
Yeah.
like I guess in some ways I'm kind of like I have to have a finished outline. Like I found that out the hard way during NaNoWriMo one year where I did not have a finished outline for the project I was going to write. And once I got to the end of what the outline, like where I left off in the outline was, like I panicked because I didn't have a full outline.
Yeah.
So I have to have a full outline before I can start writing. And then I guess my first draft really kind of serves as there's a term for it, kind of like a discovery draft. Like basically, you're learning the characters, you're learning about the world, you're
Yes.
learning, and then when you get to the second draft, then you're like, okay, like you're re-examining the things you wrote, and you're like, okay, like does this actually make sense? Like that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from too because I only did Nano one time. It was in 2016. And I just had like a basic idea. It had originally started as like a fanfic, but then as I was kind of jotting down notes, I realized I was developing a whole world.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, let me do Nano and see how much I can do. And I didn't outline things back then. So I wrote like over 50K for this story. and over the years would take it out again and add a little bit more and read through it. And a couple years ago, after becoming a ghostwriter, I got really into writing full outlines. For my own work, at least like basic outlines for each chapter and just basic idea structure. And like you, I went back and I was looking at it and I was like, oh, this needs a I could tell I had no focus because at a certain point it just kind of stopped because I didn't think past that point. And I think I ended up getting rid of like half of that manuscript, but it's a full book now with a beginning, middle, and end. So it worked out. But yeah, it's for me, I love having an outline, but I love being creative with the outline.
Yeah, so my outline is like, it's basically like bullet points, and it's like, chapter 1 and then the bullet points underneath.
Yeah.
And like I'll, be writing a chapter, but then like I'll end up adding something in that I didn't like, it just like comes to me while I'm writing. So like,
yeah,
for like the current project that I just finished writing the draft of, there's the main character and her companion, I'm going to say. They're traveling to the Woodland Court, which is a place that was introduced in my book Thorns Among Shadows, and they end up meeting some guards that work for the Queen of the Woodland Court, and like I didn't plan on that happening. There was this whole little interaction with like the captain of the guards and my main character, and I was like, oh, like okay, and like he was kind of flirty with her, and like the companion kind of got a little jealous, and like I didn't plan on that, but I like that.
Yeah, that happens. That's happened to me quite a bit. For the book I just completed, I started writing and introduced this character that I had nowhere in my ideas. He just kind of came about organically, and then down the line I realized how he fit into the story, and I was just so excited. But that also happened with, I wrote a fantasy audio drama, and I was writing this conversation between my character and my best friend's character, who are girlfriends in the show. And suddenly it became an argument that I did not intend to have. Like, I was like, what is happening right now? Why are you guys fighting? And I like messaged her. I was like, our characters are fighting right now and I don't know why.
That's awesome.
And she was like, I can't wait to see it. But sometimes as great as it is to outline, you got to give yourself room for spontaneity like that.
Yes. And that actually can sometimes make the story stronger too.
Yeah, like for my ghostwriting client, we have a set outline that we agreed on, but she always told me, like, if you come up with an idea, I trust you enough to veer from the outline if it makes a better story.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. So I kind of apply that to my own work as well. But, speaking of writing, what is the best piece of writing advice you've ever received?
Oh God, I don't know about received, because there's been bad writing advice I've been given.
Oh, there's a lot of that.
Yeah. I don't know if there's really been any like actually good writing advice. I mean, like there's been things that people in Worldsmiths have said, but I can't really think of anything offhand.
That's fine. Well, you said like sometimes there's bad writing advice, and that's always fun when you come across that, because then you realize how serious you are about your own work, I guess. Because
right.
I've had a lot of bad writing advice from people who aren't even writers, so that's always a fun one.
Yeah.
For example, I said an offhand comment to someone about the number of characters I ended up having for my audio drama. It ended up being a really big cast because all my friends said they would do it. So I ended up being able to have a lot of characters to work with. And I had said that, and out of nowhere, this person's comment was, well, you probably could have trimmed some of them down a little. And what? I was just like, you have no idea what the story entails, who any of these characters are. Wow. Thanks for that advice, I guess. It was very
Yeah.
strange. It was
Okay. Yeah.
very strange.
I I have got. I mean, I can't really think of anything right at the moment, but I have definitely gotten comments where I'm like, "What? Like, what are you talking about?" Like, and from people online too. Like,
Oh,
it's
always.
it's like they don't know the full context, or they don't care about the full context to be able to understand why you're doing what you're doing, and they just want to like prejudge you. Like,
Yeah, I had somebody give writing advice and I had to bite my tongue because I was not, it was not the appropriate setting to be like, what the hell are you talking about? But they had made the comment of like, oh, you don't want to alienate your readers. You know, you don't want to use language that would alienate anyone because what if somebody actually likes that thing? And I was like, tough shit, it's not for them.
right?
Like, right,
Like, oh my god,
you can't write and put yourself in that box.
no,
You're never going to please everyone. And if
right?
you try to, you're just going to drive yourself crazy.
Yeah.
So I really had to bite my tongue. But I was just like, no, nope, 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 nope.
I took a creative writing class my freshman year of college, and the professor straight up told me, "Oh, I don't think you should write fantasy until you've written." She wanted me to write like more contemporary settings, I
Oh,
guess. And I was like, like in my head, I was like, no, like what are you talking about? Like, thank God I didn't listen to her, cause
yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
right, like. I think she just felt like I needed to try writing in a more modern setting first before trying fantasy, and I was like, "What?" Like,
That sounds like a personal preference, not like
yeah,
a rule to follow.
yeah, and like I was kind of at a disadvantage in that class because I think most of the people they mostly wrote like short stories and poetry, and they didn't really write speculative fiction genres. They wrote more like contemporary, like
Yeah,
she wanted. I think there was one person who wrote like horror or something. Like that was it. So I was kind of at a disadvantage in that class. I mean, to be fair, like at that point, maybe she wasn't totally wrong because I feel like my writing was kind of like. I mean, I was like 20 years old, like 19, 20 years old. So like, I think I thought I knew everything about writing, but I really didn't. Like,
yeah, that's a trait around that around that age.
yep,
And then you get to like further on in your 20s and you're like, I know nothing. What the hell was I talking about? Just
yeah,
in general in life.
yep.
Well, since we've had bad writing advice, lastly, what advice would you give to writers who are just starting out, not just necessarily indie authors, but just writers in general who are just starting their craft?
I would say don't rush the process, but enjoy the process.
That's a good one.
But it's like especially when it comes to indie publishing because like I had so much fun going through the process of publishing Thorns Among Shadows, but at the same time, there are things that I wish I had done differently. And I feel like I don't think I really rushed through certain things, but like I don't know. I feel like there are definitely some things that I wish I could do differently. So for example, I only hired a line editor for that book, and I didn't hire a developmental editor because I couldn't afford to do both. So I
Yeah.
relied on alpha reader feedback, and like in hindsight, I mean, I only have so much money to go around, so like it was
Yeah.
fine, but with my current project, I am planning on like just, you know, doing as many rounds of alpha reading as I have to, and I'm definitely going to hire a developmental editor. But yeah, I would say don't rush it, but also enjoy the process because you know what? It's going to go by so quick, and then you're going to be having to worry about marketing and trying to work on your next project, and like it's going to go quick, but like, so yeah, so enjoy the process.
Yeah, there's going to be a point where you wish you only had to write because
Yes.
now you have to
Yes.
do like 30 other jobs.
Yes. And then the other thing I would say in general is find a writing group to join. Like
Yes.
there are so many groups on Discord, not to, promo my own group, but on Discord, on Facebook, Instagram, like there's so many places like I mean, granted, there can be people who are not so nice, but if you find the right community, they can be so helpful and encouraging. Like my book literally would not exist without World's Mess. So
Yeah, I know what you mean. I joined a writer Discord server and I have my own that's connected to my Patreon, and sometimes I open it up for people. But I had people recently alpha readers for my book because I had out a call for alpha readers. Some people signed up. One person bowed out because it wasn't her cup of tea, which was great. Two people tried to get me to pay them, which was
what?
fun. They masked as an alpha reader and then tried to hard sell me on their services after they gave me feedback. So I was really hesitant to offer that in a writing group, like I'll alpha read for you if you alpha read for me. But my friend Stace, hi Stace, love you. We met there. We say we're cosmic twins because our lives just parallel each other. And she gave me some amazing, like in-depth, helpful feedback on my current book. So when I go and do my edits now, I know what I'm searching for. And I know what to focus on, which before I was like, oh, I don't really know what's working and what's not.
Right.
And yeah, and so she was able to put some words to what I was feeling and couldn't quite articulate myself. So I agree, find a community or a writing Discord server because you can meet some really amazing people and helpful people.
Yes. Yeah, I have like my friend that I mentioned before who thinks I'm nutty for the way I do things. Um, she has been one of my go-to people for my writing. Like she has done so many brainstorming sessions with me, and like when Thorns Among Shadows first released, I got my first 2-star review, and I was definitely like, spiraling a little bit, but she and some of the others in the group like, helped calm me down. And they were like, you know what, this just gives you something else to improve on for the next book.
Yeah, I got a 1-star review on like the first episode of my audio drama. And at first my heart like really sunk. I was like, damn, I've spent 2 years on this. And this episode has been out for days. And if you read it, it's actually just a very like there's no reason for the review. Like there's no actual feedback to it. And so it just makes me laugh now.
Yeah.
And so like I went to the podcast creators group I'm a part of. So I was like, hey guys, I got my first 1-star. They're like, congratulations. So you really have to like have a sense of humor about it sometimes because again, you can't please everyone.
Right. They say that review spaces are not for authors, which is true because, it can be hard to resist like wanting to be like, hey, like what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
like lose the professionalism, but then it also can be hard to like not let
Imposter syndrome.
imposter syndrome, yes, thank you, get in the way. But then it gets to the point where you can kind of laugh it off. And like the only reason I really go like looking for reviews is to like use them for promotional purposes.
Yeah.
So
yeah. My therapist suggested I print out positive reviews and paste them on my wall.
yeah,
So if
that's a
I'm
good
ever
idea.
feeling imposter syndrome, I can like read those. So there's
Yeah.
another piece of advice.
Yep. Yeah, and you get to the point where it just kind of rolls off your back. Like I got one last month that was a 2.5 stars, and the person like said something about how like the fairy quests were like too easy. Like keep in mind this is a young adult book. Like it's not meant to
Yeah.
be this overly complicated quest. Something about how like it was too easy and how it belonged on Wattpad and not as a published product. And I was like, what? Like
What?
yeah,
Okay.
like that's not really the insult you think it is, but okay.
And on that note, well, thank you so much, Allie, for chatting with me. Where can people find you?
Thank you for having me. So my website is akfantasywriter.com, and then on Facebook and Instagram and Threads, I am AK Fantasy Writer, and then TikTok, my username is I think it's at author Allie Kelly. But yeah, you can find me on there, and my book is on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and some other places too, in ebook and paperback and hardback.
Perfect. This is a reminder that I do have a Patreon. Patrons receive episodes up to 2 days earlier than the general public. There are exclusive blogs and podcast episodes that are only found on Patreon. You'll also receive discounts on writing services, behind-the-scenes tidbits for Battle Cry, including access to our blooper reel, access to my Discord server, and shout-outs in future podcast episodes. So head over to patreon.com/Leani M. Lopez or check out the link in the description. Thank you again, Allie, and thank you to everyone for listening. And as always, happy writing.